Welcome to United Network News, the official news channel for CARE, the Center for Amity and Restoration of Earth. I'm Sunny Galt. At UNN, you get the real news. Through our field messengers, we show you the truth about what's really taking place in our communities. We also bring you stories to help you remember who you are and why you're here, as well as regional stories that impact the people. And our World Situation Report reveals what's happening throughout the multiverse. We are here to restore Earth. In the U.S., it is Wednesday, June 26, 2024. We're headed to Cancun, Mexico for the sights and sounds of a local community market. There are handmade goods, entertainment, and opportunities to adopt a pet. Have you ever had jackfruit before? This tree-borne fruit is rather large and sticky. We'll show you one way to prepare it. You've heard of sound healing, but did you know you can heal with your own voice? This innate skill has been part of us since birth. Protests erupt across Kenya, resulting in serious injuries. The people are opposing tax increases during economic hardship. And ultra-Orthodox Jews in Israel must now be drafted into the military. That's according to Israel's Supreme Court. And many people are not happy.
This is Calen Giff, messenger for United Network News. Here's a look at today's Field Messenger reports from all around the world. Today we explore a community market in Cancun, Mexico. This vibrant marketplace serves as a hub for locals to showcase their products and services. It also offers entertainment and pet adoption opportunities. UNN Field Messenger Abril guides us through the market.
Hello, this is Abril from Cancun, Mexico, and today we are visiting a local community market. In this type of market, there are a lot of things to see, do, eat, and enjoy. Local entrepreneurs are able to bring their own products or services to offer directly to the community, and this way, hopefully, getting a better profit with a fair price for customers. We can also find a space for concerts and dance for the people to enjoy. Local artists can perform in this kind of events and get themselves known out there. My favorite part was the Adoption Festival, where we were able to get close to some doggies and kittens that are looking for a loving home to belong to. This idea allows future pet owners to really connect with their furry friends before adopting them. Local community markets are always a great way to get people together and enjoy themselves while we support each other at the same time. Thank you for watching. This was Abril reporting for UNN in Cancun, Mexico. Bye-bye.
Selecting and cutting jackfruit is an experience like no other. As the world's largest tree-borne fruit, jackfruit can reach an impressive 80 pounds. UNN Field Messenger Vahagn shares valuable tips on how to choose and cut this delectable fruit.
Good day, souls. I'm Vahagn, reporting from Los Angeles, California. Today, I'll be showing you how I pick a jackfruit, how I cut it, and at the end, how I clean the knife. So this is the jackfruit that I picked. This is the largest that I have bought. It is 30 pounds, which is 13.6 kilos. And what I look for is for the jackfruit to be slightly yellow. Mainly I look for the smell, and then when you touch it, it has to have like a slight give to it. I put down a piece of paper I have my gloves, I have my knife, and an olive oil, or any kind of oil really, just so the knife doesn't stick to the gluey substance that's inside. And these are the trays that I harvest the fruit in. Okay, now we are ready to cut. What I do is I pretty much go down the middle. So let me show you. There we go. So this is what it looks like on the inside. It should be yellow and sometimes orangey. See, that's how the pods will look like. And these are the threads that hold it together, and you don't eat those. So they'll look like that. Now we are ready to clean our knife, which is very sticky. So I use baking soda. I use the oil and soap. Put the soap on here. And when we start to get into it, see, the gluey substance comes off. So after a few minutes of me rubbing it off and scraping it with my nail, it is back to a clean knife. Thank you for watching how I pick my jackfruit, and have a good day.
We want you to become a UNN field messenger. These are everyday people just like you who want to make a difference in their community. You don't need any special training or equipment. Just use the camera on your mobile phone and show us what's happening in your area. You send us your videos and our production team will create the report for you. Our new website is now up and running at unitednetwork.earth. You can submit your Field Messenger reports directly through the Field Messenger tab at the top of the page. You can also email your reports to our new email address at fieldmessenger@unitednetwork.earth.
Hey, I'm Kirsten from Switzerland.
This is Wayne from Tucson.
Hi, my name is Desmond from Ghana.
I am Claudia from Dawsonville, Georgia.
I'm Mikey from Pretoria, South Africa.
Hi, I'm Steve McGrath, Fort McMurray, Alberta, Canada.
People from all around the world are coming together.
Happy day, beautiful world. We are here in a rather small urban garden, and this video is just to show you the joys that we've had in this garden with the electric gardening.
When news happens in their area, they show us what's really going on.
We have people in the streets protesting for and against.
At United Network News, our field messengers are changing the face of news.
This is Field Messenger Helen reporting with nature, and I'm going to talk to you about the bees again.
Take the next step in restoring our planet. Become a UNN Field Messenger today.
Hi, I'm Stephanie from South Africa. If it's going to be, it's up to me.
If it's going to be, it's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to me. It's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to all of us. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news.
There are many ways to heal your body by using sound, including using your own voice. David Gibson is a sound healing visionary. He's the top producer of sound healing music in the U.S. and has founded several groups with the intent to stop every disease in the world with sound, music, and vibration. David shares with us how our brain and bodies are naturally wired for this type of healing from the moment we're born. So David is back with us, and we're talking about sound healing. And David, I'm excited about today's topic because we're talking about healing with our voice. When we talk about sound, I don't know if a lot of us really think about using our voice. We think about instruments and bowls and tuning forks and things like that. But we have this beautiful instrument here that we can use as well.
Oh my God. You know, as babies, we were professional sound healers. You know, if you had anything going on, you let it out with a sound. Wah! With zero thought as to whether anybody thought you were doing it right or wrong. Right? Mm-hmm. We were built to release stuck emotions with sound. Yeah. It's a God-given ability. And then around 1 or 2, it's like, shh, right? Mm-hmm. And then we get in school and it's no more sound.
Yep.
And then you go to work and it's like, what are you doing? Right? Except around here, we make sound all the time. Right? And we lose that God-given ability to express ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's an emotional blockage. And emotional blockages cause physical disease. That's the number one cause of physical disease are emotional blockages. So it's all about remembering. And it's just as simple as, first of all, just making sound freely. Blah, 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 blah. And here's the main problem. Music and singing has screwed up the world.
How so?
Because people are like, you're not a good singer.
Oh.
Or we think we're not a good singer, right? If we can't do it. It's like, and what I've learned is if anyone has ever told you you're not a good singer, you need to track them down and kick them in the knee.
In the most loving way possible.
Yeah, because the truth is you can never do it wrong. That's how we start at our institute. You can never do it wrong. It's all perfect, always perfect, right? Because you've got to let it flow again.
Yeah.
And this is just a precursor to being able to speak your truth.
Right.
Which is a real problem for women on the planet because men have been squashing the throat chakra of women for tens of thousands of years.
Yeah, it's
right?
true.
Not even in the past, or especially in other countries, it's like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
In the modern countries, it's like it's still rampant.
Yeah.
And also men are scared to express themselves because they're afraid of being too cocky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't have a good mentor of how to do balance, communication, right? And so it's really critical you learned how to express yourself. Now, what we're doing in the classes is we actually have everybody make the sound of how they're feeling. And we've done it with the kids and in our classes and even with the dementia company we're working with.
Okay.
And a lot of people, you tell them, make the sound of how you're feeling, and they look at you like you got two heads, right?
Yeah.
So we start with call and response. Ooh, ooh, and then we do ah, and they do ah, and over a while they get comfortable, and so now we got everybody expressing how they feel. It's so cool with the kids because they're like, we can express it. And finally get it out without having to figure out the right language for it.
Yeah.
But it's especially helpful for the dementia patients because they don't have to use language. Last week, I was at the dementia company and there was this one guy, he was like this, scrunched over. And I said, can you do the sound of how you're feeling? And he looks up and he goes, and then he kind of smiles.
Oh.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's so cool. We're communicating and connecting without language because sound expresses emotions way better than language. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's really about becoming free again and being able to make sound. If you go into many towns in Africa, everybody comes out singing. Right? There's no like, oh, you can't sing, you can't. We just do it. Just do it, right? So it's a matter of just getting over the fear and making sound. It's just a matter of getting over the fear and making sound completely freely with all the emotions and expressing all the emotions completely with your voice, just as we had down as a baby.
So we have to go back to our roots.
Exactly. We all know how to do it, and we had it down perfectly.
Yeah. Well, and I think this is a good message, too, for parents, because you said the shh. Not only do teachers do that when you get into school, but as parents, we don't want our kids to cause a ruckus, and we don't even realize what we're doing there. We're trying to fit into society and no one look at us, and think we're crazy and all this kind of stuff and to control a situation. But sometimes that can do more harm than good. We don't even realize that.
Yeah. What I've been thinking about is, because you can't just have kids like screaming all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Because it'd be crazy. It would be too much. But you need to let them do it and do it more often. Have them make the sound of how they're feeling all the time. You should even have a room where you say, okay, go in that room and make all the sound you want.
Yeah.
I just saw a guy on a hike just a few weeks ago, and this little kid, he must have been 5 years old, he was crying, and I saw he just started crying, and the dad went, oh no, stop it. And I'm like, let him cry a little bit and let it out first. Let it out first, right?
Singing in a group is more than just making music. It's about creating a connection. Studies show group singing boosts spirits both for singers and listeners, and that watching a choir can bring feelings of enjoyment and admiration. Researchers noted singing in a choir also enhances brain elasticity, improves the overall sense of well-being, reduces anxiety, and improves memory in just a short period of time. Many members report experiencing an emotional release connected to a heightened sense of belonging and connection to something bigger than themselves. For many people, choirs provide a safe place to explore their voices and creativity without fear of judgment. The group's shared purpose creates a supportive environment where individuals feel safe to be themselves, even if they hit a wrong note. The feeling of unity created allows each singer to embrace their imperfections, turning mistakes into shared humanity. Whether singing or listening, choirs offer undeniable emotional benefits, expanding the idea of community wellness. Researchers in Japan have discovered the brain refreshes itself during REM, rapid eye movement sleep, using special receptor cells. These receptors seem to be largely responsible for the increased flow of red blood cells through the brain capillaries during REM sleep. This enhanced blood flow improves the delivery of oxygen and nutrients and helps remove waste from the brain. REM sleep is crucial for memory strengthening, concentration, brain development, and emotional processing. Now, researchers aim to understand how REM sleep specifically triggers this increased blood flow in the brain. Many neurodegenerative diseases, such as Alzheimer's, are linked to reduced blood flow and protein buildup in the brain. This research paves the way for future studies on the vital role of REM sleep in overall well-being and the prevention of common brain diseases. In India, a local women's foundation is developing and testing an app to answer women's questions about sexual health. Cultural norms can make getting information on reproductive matters sensitive for women and girls. It is hoped the AI chatbot will make accurate medical information more freely and discreetly available to them. A group of 80 female testers train the chatbot by asking questions about intimacy, and the answers are checked for accuracy by developers. Once questions and answers have been assessed and corrected if necessary, they are added into the database to improve the future performance of the app. This pilot project could contribute to the use of AI in healthcare worldwide, offering personalized and accurate guidance to people who, for whatever reason, can't easily access clinics or medically trained staff. We are United Network News. Every day, we release real stories from real people all over the world.
Field Messenger reporting from Gold Coast, Australia,
Denmark,
Canada,
Uganda,
from Atlanta, in Southern California.
In their own words, people like you share what's really happening in their area. At UNN, you are the news. You are creating a new world with infinite possibilities. You are the restoration plan. Come join us for the real news every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, only on United Network. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news. Protests have erupted across Kenya in response to a controversial finance bill proposing tax increases despite ongoing economic hardships. The bill aims to generate an additional $2.7 billion in taxes. Protesters clashed with police who responded with tear gas to disperse the crowds, resulting in several injuries. Major internet disruptions were reported by leading network operators, though the cause remains unclear. Opposition leaders and activists are demanding the president's resignation and the withdrawal of the finance bill. Although the bill has already passed parliamentary readings, it faces strong opposition from citizens struggling with economic difficulties aggravated by the pandemic, international conflicts, droughts, and currency depreciation. Despite the government's promise to eliminate taxes on essentials like bread and cooking oil, the protests continue. Farmers in Nigeria's northern Katsina state are facing a severe threat from armed gangs demanding taxes to allow them to work their fields. A recent attack on a farming community left at least 50 people dead and numerous others abducted. Many farmers have been forced to abandon their fields, causing significant disruptions to Nigeria's food supply and contributing to soaring food prices and inflation. Despite efforts to form vigilante groups, security remains insufficient. Since 2020, more than 1,300 farmers have been killed, turning farming into a dangerous occupation. Despite military efforts to protect farmers during the rainy season, the risk of kidnapping and violence remains high, forcing many to leave their livelihoods behind. Nigeria has seen a surge in airport construction, but many new facilities remain underused. Although designed to facilitate business and social interactions, several airports faced maintenance challenges soon after their inauguration. Despite the proliferation of new airports, passenger numbers fell last year, with traffic heavily concentrated at just a few locations. Analysts suggest the rush to build airports is more about political prestige than economic need. The rising cost of air travel, driven by multiple taxes and high service charges, further limits accessibility for Nigerians, more than half of whom live on less than $1.27 a day. Solutions such as expanding freight transportation and incorporating smaller aircraft for diverse uses have been proposed to improve the industry's effectiveness. Recent research shows thousands of agency staff could leave the UK health and social care services in the next 2 years. A poll of 10,000 workers revealed nearly 1 in 5 might leave their jobs by 2026. The report highlights 24% feel overstretched at work. Key reasons for leaving include poor working conditions, leading to burnout and lack of managerial support. A third of respondents cited flexible hours as their primary motivation for agency work, while 9% mentioned work-life balance. The National Health Service had more than 125,000 vacancies as of June of 2023, with a majority filled by temporary staff. However, many doctors and nursing roles remain unoccupied. Motorola Solutions is suing the UK government over a communications upgrade program for the country's emergency services. This project has cost billions, but is yet to be implemented. Motorola's subsidiary, Airwave Solutions, is seeking payment for outstanding invoices, which the company says are overdue. The new emergency services network was intended to replace the existing Airwave service in 2019, but delays have pushed this back. Motorola accuses the Home Office of breaching the contract by not addressing the payments tied to inflation. The Competition and Markets Authority accused Motorola of making excessive profits as an emergency service provider, leading to a cap on Airwave charges. Motorola is appealing this decision. The ongoing delays and disputes over raised concerns about additional costs and risks to emergency services, affecting the delivery of critical public safety functions. Spain has announced the temporary elimination of sales tax on olive oil to counteract soaring prices. As the leading producer and exporter, Spain has seen domestic prices skyrocket due to global inflation and a prolonged drought. The price of olive oil has jumped 272% since September 2020, with a 5-liter bottle costing more than €50 or $53. The Spaniards consuming an average of 6 liters per person annually. The high prices have forced many to switch to cheaper cooking oils. The government initially cut the sales tax from 10% to 5%, but will now remove it entirely from July through September. The oil will then be taxed at 2% until the end of the year, before settling at 4%. New research reveals Australians are spending $4 billion annually on tap-and-go payments. The average Australian spent $140 last year on electronic payment surcharges, amounting to a $400 million increase from the previous year. Finance experts attribute much of this rise to inflation, noting fees are often a percentage of the transaction value, which increases with inflation. These fees are split between the card issuing bank, the payment services bank, and the card providers like Visa and MasterCard. As Australians increasingly rely on contactless payments for convenience, hidden costs affect their wallets. To avoid these costs, shoppers could consider paying in cash or inserting a debit card, which typically incurs lower fees than tap and go. Bolivia's economic crisis is deepening, with severe cash shortages affecting daily life. Merchants are scrambling to buy U.S. dollars at inflated prices across the border, and locals endure long waits for hard currency. Fuel shortages have led to protests and roadblocks, and the rising cost of living has strained household budgets. The government's efforts to import subsidized gasoline have not eased frustrations, leading to angry protests by truckers and burning tires on streets. The economic hardships are stark, with inflation causing food prices to soar by 70%, making it difficult for many Bolivians to afford basic necessities. These issues are aggravated by the political infighting within the ruling MAS party. A fire at a lithium battery plant in South Korea has resulted in the deaths of at least 22 individuals, and it's also injured 8 others. Authorities have recovered 22 bodies from the factory located 45 kilometers or 28 miles south of Seoul. Amongst the deceased were 18 Chinese workers, and 1 was Laotian, with the nationality of the last victim yet to be confirmed. The fire started around 10:30 a.m. and was controlled by 3 p.m. local time. More than 100 workers were reportedly on site at the time, with some still unaccounted for. The fire was triggered by an explosion of battery cells within a warehouse. The incident has prompted authorities to advise the public to stay indoors due to hazardous smoke. Israel's Supreme Court has ruled ultra-Orthodox Jewish seminary students must be drafted into the military. The ruling challenges the long-standing exemption that allowed these students to avoid enlistment, raising concerns about social inequality. The military, currently overextended due to conflicts with Hamas and Hezbollah, supports the draft for additional manpower. However, ultra-Orthodox parties fear this could disrupt their religious customs. The court also barred state subsidies for seminaries whose scholars avoid service. Opposition groups welcome the decision, emphasizing fairness in military service. Protests have erupted, with demonstrators blocking roads while middle-class taxpayers express frustration over the economic impact of the waivers. Apple's contractor Foxconn faces scrutiny over its hiring practices at a factory in India. The company has been rejecting married women from job opportunities, a policy enforced through their hiring agencies. Reports indicate women with children or those wearing metal ornaments are turned away at the gate, citing reasons such as the need for a metal-free work environment to prevent contamination from jewelry. Recruiters suggest women can gain entry by removing ornaments and not updating their marital status on official IDs. Former factory workers have described facing these discriminatory practices while seeking assembly line roles. None of the hiring agencies responded to questions about their employment practices. Malaysia will enforce the Vehicle Entry Permit, or VEP, requirement for foreign vehicles entering the country starting October 1st. All foreign vehicles entering Malaysia by land from Singapore must have a valid VEP, which requires registering, installing, and activating radio frequency identification tags. These tags will enable motorists to pay road charges and toll fees. Without a valid VEP, motorists might be denied entry or face fines. The previously postponed mandatory registration will now be implemented strictly. Efforts have been made to simplify the VEP acquisition, including the option to have the tags delivered to applicants' homes. The government will use VEPs to monitor traffic records and enforce the settlement of traffic fines before foreign motorists leave Malaysia. Housing shortages driven by restrictive zoning rules are becoming a critical issue across the United States. Once a problem mostly limited to states on the coasts, the shortage has now spread nationwide, affecting regions like Arizona and Georgia. Rising home prices continue to be a leading factor in ongoing inflation, a significant issue for many Americans. In response, new legislation aims to tackle the crisis by reducing regulatory barriers. A proposed bill would create a task force to draft model zoning reform laws, such as legalizing accessory dwelling units and cutting parking mandates. The bill also proposes technical assistance and funding to help local governments streamline zoning rules. This initiative follows recent efforts that included significant grants to revise local zoning codes. Also in the U.S., Idaho is facing a major water shortage crisis impacting farmers and the broader economy. Without enough water, farmers can't produce hay crops, leading to unsustainable cattle farming, lower beef quality, and higher beef prices. The lack of local grain and meat forces retailers to source from other states, pushing prices up amid rising inflation. The potential increase in property taxes could drive residents away, especially affecting schools in rural areas. The Idaho Department of Water Resources has two plans to manage the water shortage, requiring groundwater users to restore aquifer levels by the end of the growing season. However, many districts are not complying due to disagreements, risking reductions and further economic damage. Conservation efforts like new water meters and reduced water usage during rains are in place, but it is not enough. New blood tests developed in the U.S. offer hope for predicting and managing preeclampsia, allowing doctors to monitor and manage high-risk patients better. Preeclampsia is a high blood pressure disorder affecting 1 in 20 pregnancies worldwide, killing 70,000 women and 500,000 babies annually. The condition can occur in the second half of pregnancy or postpartum and causes symptoms like protein in the urine, severe headaches, and sudden swelling. It can lead to severe complications such as organ damage, stroke, and preterm birth. Treatment typically involves delivering the baby. New blood tests help predict and manage preeclampsia by measuring biomarkers in the blood. These tests, although new, are aiding doctors in providing more targeted care, potentially reducing the mortality and morbidity rates associated with preeclampsia. Several American dating apps have recently faced backlash over controversial marketing campaigns and user dissatisfaction. Bumble faced significant backlash after its recent billboard campaign made light of the struggles of single users, suggesting they join nunneries. Critics argue the ads shifted blame onto users rather than addressing issues with the app and dating culture. The league stirred reactions with its Be a Goal Digger campaign. The app defended its edgy approach, stating its appeals to its specific user base. Unlike other apps, it requires profile approval and offers premium memberships with enhanced features. Tinder shifted its focus from hookup culture to promoting varied relationships, while Hinge continues to push its Designed to be Deleted campaign. We have an exciting new announcement. We have launched a new global TV service specifically for the UNN community. Thousands of live TV channels, 60,000 movies on demand, over 30 languages, and live sports from around the globe. Between all the separate streaming services and cable for live TV and sports packages, it could cost well over $200 a month. But now with United TV, you can have it all for only $15.99 a month. Go to unitedtv.org and check it out. Get so much more for so much less. And now, the World Situation Report with Kimberly Gogan from the Office of the Guardian. Genetic shareholders of banks send in their fixers. Will they succeed in negotiating on behalf of the families? A genetic shareholder of a bank are the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Morgans, Lees, and more. An update on neurological disturbance sites connected to LED lights and other electronic devices. And MegV AI Corporation still hopes to be the deep state's choice for social crediting. Kim was unable to join us live when we were recording the news today, but she does have a message for us, so here she is, Kimberly Gogan with the Office of the Guardian.
Good afternoon, everyone. Didn't quite make it earlier this morning with Sunny, but I will give you the World Situation Report now. So let me give you an update on the neurological disturbances we talked about on Monday and the additional sites that we found so that you can, if you have one of these in your area, most of these have been disabled now. And as far as we know, we have disconnected what was left connected to the LED lights and other electronic systems in the world. Okay, so following sites, we left off at, I think, Jackson Hole, Wyoming. So after that, we went to Ritterholmen in Sweden, and we went to the Sacred Grove in Nigeria, Temple at the Sea in Trinidad and Tobago, the Reconciliation Monument in Liberia, the Sefa Yutaki place of worship in Japan, in Okinawa. We also went to the Kasumi Royal Tombs in Uganda and the Gunung Muli National Park in Malaysia, the Convent Capuchinas in Guatemala, Freedom Park in Johannesburg, South Africa. We went to the Channel Islands in California, also Mount Shasta in California. We went to the Ataturk in Wellington, New Zealand, the Tombeau Phoenician in Tangier, Morocco, the Sri Siva Subramanyana temple in Fiji. And in Sri Lanka, we went to the Sigiriya Fortress in Sri Lanka, the Van Den Castle in Luxembourg, the Jelling Mounds in Denmark, and the middle of the world monument in Ecuador. So by the time we hit all these sites, we didn't have any other signals coming from anywhere after that. So hopefully that'll take care of it. Hopefully there's nothing else. And to be very clear, these sites were ongoing and were predominantly alien tech and were running on standing orders of others. So is it something that the deep state used? I would say yes. Did they create these mechanisms so it would connect to everything? I would say yes, to increase the amount of disturbances in people. Without the technology, can the deep state recreate something like this? The answer is no. I do not believe so, not of this magnitude anyway. All right, let's see, other updates. We talked on a Monday about the bankers' possible conversation with JP Morgan. Preliminary conversations did take place with the potential new chairman, or at least interim chairman, and it seems like the bank itself has been run around chasing rabbits. Just like the deep state goes around in circles, they tend to drive everybody around them in circles as well. Is this the genetic shareholders? I'm not sure. I think in part. In this case, if it's JP Morgan, it's the Rockefeller family and others, Morgans as well. And the Fed and the Fed families, which you know from the Creature of Jekyll Island. And I would say that there's probably a significant amount of operatives, government people that have been running the banks around looking for assets. So some of the information that's come out is, number one, the people that are running them around in circles are telling everyone that there is gold in this world that has not yet been leveraged in the banking system, and they need to try to get it into the banking system. And they were told, this is how you do it. You have to go to Congress, you need to go to the Federal Reserve. Oh, they can't do it. Okay, you need to go to the General Office of Accounting, you need to go to the Treasury Department, you need to go to the military, you need to go to these people, and these people are just running around in circles. What this looks like to me is they're just trying to buy time to see if they can find out a way around us or a way around the light system at this point. Additionally, we also have them trying to push this digital cash outside the system, as we explained in detail last Wednesday. This is no surprise, but they told the bank that this cannot enter into the banking system. It has to be held outside the banking system, which is, of course, no good to the banks to utilize as liquidity or assets, because they also don't have allocation numbers. So there's a lot of lying going on in the banking industry. No one seems to know what's going on, except for you and us, of course, over here. But word has gotten out that negotiations have begun, because today, welcome to Durango, bankers from JP Morgan Chase, bankers from Bank of New York Mellon. There are some here from, there's a couple of other banks here too. These bankers are not, see, people, when people think bankers, they think about the banksters, right? I call those people the genetic shareholders of banks. And when I think of bankers on this level, I think of fixers or operators. Predominantly, they report to the families, because every family had their own group of people that were assigned to them, generation after generation. And these people would run around doing their bidding, whether that be shutting down bank accounts, for non-compliance, companies getting too big. Before, when they had a lot of power, they would be able to block funds, hold funds indefinitely, send people into compliance, I say where money goes to die, to a big compliance circle, and they never get the money released, those types of things. That's what these bankers that have shown up in Durango, Colorado today do. They definitely work for the families, best I can tell. There's definitely a conflict, so it seems, with local people who don't want to take the time to talk to them, and I can't blame them. But remember, if the banks are going to actually survive, there has to be a way that the banks themselves end up working as a service provider to you and not a custodial institution for you, as we discussed earlier this week. So if I were, one of the local people and I were an operative, I would be telling these fixers that in order to gain assistance from me in any way, shape, or form, or getting us to transfer funds or possibly sign a service provider agreement for the institution, that those conditions would be met, but they should also introduce themselves as a new member of the board of that bank. Because if they don't think we're not going to put somebody from our group somewhere along the way as a member of the board in order for us to fix it, they're crazy. Perhaps we need to take the genetic shareholders positions in this particular case, since those people are just running everybody around in circles. Now, next for fun and games, the deep state was expecting something to happen at sundown last night. I looked everywhere last night for any kind of signals, any kind of gateways, portals, computer systems trying to reintegrate. I'm still, even as of this morning, not entirely sure what it was that they were waiting for or where they got this information from that something was going to take place, because there was absolutely nothing that happened in their favor today. But that also led them to do some kind of crazy things in the last couple of days. MEGVI, if you've never heard of MEGVI, it's spelled MEGVII. They're a large AI company. They specialize in things like facial recognition and a lot of things on the surface we would recognize as people as non-threatening. However, MEGVI had been designated by probably the World Economic Forum or some family somewhere as the lead platform to initiate social crediting programs on behalf of the Great Reset. So today, because whatever it was they were waiting for last night, which appears to be nothing, the social crediting people, MEGVI AI, were trying to install their stuff everywhere today. I'm not exactly sure why. However, it has failed. The program cannot run on its own without the computing power of Omega or Starlight, which was a Lucifer program, or Omega Project Stargate. This has no hope of ever becoming a thing. Like I said, it doesn't have the computing power to do it. It would literally have to monitor every health event in the human body, every human on Earth, every second or nanosecond of the day. And you know how many health events you have in a day? I mean, you eat food, you use the restroom, you exercise, you maybe prick your finger and it causes a neurological disturbance. This thing was supposed to record everything that you do. And combine that with your point of sale systems, your tap and pay, your credit and debit cards, even cash had MICR or magnetic ink in it that could be recorded by the Omega Project system. Now, none of that is going to be a possibility, and I'm sure they're very disappointed. Matter of fact, I'm not I'm entirely positive they're extremely disappointed at this moment in time. Everybody seems to be running around this morning or this afternoon like a chicken with their head cut off over here, at least in the States, and also in a few other countries. Loads of promises made and absolutely zero delivery, and I'm sure they're going to have the banks running around chasing deposits that don't exist, again, till they can buy time till the next special day. We'll get to the next special day here in a second. But I did also want to talk to you about one more thing. You probably heard me, if you've followed me for a while, you probably heard me talk about something called the farms. And what I mean by farms, I don't mean agricultural people, growing vegetables in any way, shape, or form here. A farm is a group of operatives. These are what you would call black ops operatives. They do contract with places like Langley and MI6 and the old KGB, now the SVR, and South African SS. So they're kind of everywhere. They're of all nationalities. These are highly trained, sophisticated operatives. And these people are born of what they call the farm. These are the people that are bred for this. These are the people that would be given the medical enhancements necessary to allow them to be what you call super soldiers. They are given different versions of medication depending on how old they are, or then they have newer stuff out these days they give them. So these are your people that go bump in the night. Now let's go back to farm. So there is a farm created for every U.S. president since number 22. The only one since President 22 that has not had his or her, well, it's never been a her, his own respective farm is this current president. So Biden has never had this done because there's some kind of a program that they do that makes them extremely loyal to that particular head of state. So much so it's almost like an obsession. It's like, you've seen movies where they do this kind of love potion witch thing that they do, and all of a sudden the man falls in love with the woman, or vice versa, or one person falls in love with another. Well, it's kind of like that, but it's an ongoing thing that it really never ends. I think that this is probably why your Trump operatives are so a little bit not okay. The 45s operatives are probably more out there than most of them. But I think that they took some of the older guys, too, that had been loyal to Reagan and then moved them over to the Trump administration. I'm not really sure, but definitely something's different about that farm than all the other farms. Okay, the reason why I'm bringing up farms to you is because at one point in time, the farm people who graduated from each respective farm also had a program in computers in the Omega system where they could be controlled by that program and that system. Did Langley have a small amount of access to something like this? I'd say it was minimal, but yes, they did. And it would be more the lower basement levels underneath Langley where the Black Sun programs take place, the black operative programs, the conditioning. You've seen it in the movies and like the Bourne series, Project Treadstone, I think they call it, but no, this is just a farm. So these farms were also connected to their respective, spoils. So when a president becomes a president, and this is of pretty much any country, the president only does so the president and their respective operatives become power brokers. They make all kinds of deals for assets, resources, trade agreements, even treaties would yield them money that would come out for that. So each one of these is tied usually to a farm account. And that particular farm account has predominantly liens in it. The farm accounts also have what's called money for or derivatives, which are bonds issued against the asset itself, like oil or gas. If there was a war during that presidency and they gained control over a particular country's oil, they would then issue a bond against it and then derivatives from that bond. So most of these farm accounts are not actual cash that they could spend. Therefore, somewhat irrelevant. Now, the control systems, to some lesser degree, also had their own web and internet, to which they could tap into these people's brains and make them do crazy things. Maybe the one running Duck Dynasty is day drinking or something, I'm not sure, because the things that these people are doing are a little bit crazy. But I bring this up because the day before yesterday, yesterday or Monday evening, they tried to attack or get a hold of or gain access to what they call the farm accounts or the farm monetary system. Because a lot of black market trading happens all the time through these farm lines. But they were hoping that they could somehow, I'm not sure, but it looked like they were trying to install the farm system to some kind of digital currency system, to some kind of, I don't know, the MIG-V platform. Kind of looked like a combo package. Needless to say, we have no more farm systems now. No more fake accounts, no more monetary systems for black ops and black ops transfers, and no more backdoors for Langley. So thank you for pointing that out. I forgot all about the farm. So now everybody can kind of forget about the farm, really, because it's almost useless at this point. Okay, other than that, things have been fairly quiet on other fronts. I mean, of course, we have angry deep state program people that are, occasionally there's an uptick in chatter and the way they use my name and that kind of thing. But for the most part, there is chatter off and on about things they're going to do with money when they get this money for war, and telling people to hang on and just wait it out, or driving other people around in a circle, just kind of the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. So the next big day for deep state expectations is the 4th of July. And this is worldwide. This is not just a U.S. Independence Day kind of thing. The reason why it's the 4th of July is because every year, whomever runs the alpha system, now it's turned into the light system, and we're shutting alpha down and converting it over to the light system. But whoever runs this system is the one that used to put out the allocations for pretty much every government through the Federal Reserve every year. So the proposals are out there, the orders go out at the same time. Governments have to do whatever the alpha system says you're supposed to do. However, nobody happens to listen to me, so that's fine. Therefore, there's been no money since 2022. That was the last time I did the allocation. Sorry, 2012. That was the last time I did the allocation. And then there was a few more during the Trump administration, but it wasn't the July 4th big one. That is the time of year where the majority of the allocations would flood into the banking system, injecting new liquidity. Governments would get annual budgets through this, and so on and so forth. Now, Most of this money would go through the genetic shareholders of the Federal Reserve, and all of the money would eventually head over to HSBC in Hong Kong for trading. That money would trade from the 4th of July all the way through until September, when the budgets come due. So can you imagine how much money they made with well over $100 trillion every year for every government in the world, and new allocations of every currency in the world that would come out at that time? Can you imagine how much money the deep state makes behind the scenes for all their black ops, black operations, orders that they're given, from the deep state and whatever? So the deep state must have been hiding under a rock since 2012, because the 4th of July allocation has not come out since then. And the last time there was any kind of allocation for budgets, it was small, it was just the U.S., and it came out during the Trump administration in 2019. It wasn't on the 4th of July, but that was the time that it came out. Well, probably was, I'm going to say it was sometime probably in July of 2019 at the time. But that is not happening anymore. Pretty much written off all of those programs and written off the Fed, just as they have written off me. So will there be an allocation of money coming out on the 4th of July? No. Has any come out since 2019? No. And I know that because it was me that sent it then. Before that, was there any large allocation of funds that came out? Yes, 2018, that was also me, and all those funds were pulled back. Was there any funds that came out for any other 4th of July like it used to? Nope. Last time that the major amounts came out, I did it myself personally. I have proof of that, and that was back in 2012. And I distinctly remember sitting there all 4th of July getting all the budgets out to everybody at that time. But that has not happened since then, and it's not going to happen this year. So everybody's going to be sadly disappointed. If they're telling everybody they're going to get contracts on that day, that's a lie. If the Fed is saying that this money is coming on this day and they should be in charge, that is also a lie. And probably down the street right now, these genetic shareholder bank representatives are probably also lying to people around here, saying this is the day they're going to get some money. But that is absolutely not the case. So without cooperation of the person, that would be me, who runs Alpha in the past, and now the new quantum system that we created, that we call the light system, which is the one that's integrating everywhere with an asset-based trading system, and no contracts and no obligations to any government anywhere, including the Federal Reserve, non-government, and any other non-government organization out there. There is absolutely no reason for me to pay people for no reason. I mean, for absolutely no reason. So there will be no government allocations at that time. So there'll be another disappointment coming up here in just a few days, next Thursday, actually a week from tomorrow. Are they going to achieve anything between now and then? No. Are they going to fake it between now and then? No. So I'm not really sure what they're buying time for. Probably just to drive everybody around in another circle. I can also confirm, in case any banks are confused, if it exists on planet Earth or a nearby asteroid or a moon or anything in this galaxy, and it has gold on it, or platinum, or diamonds, or anything else, I can assure you it has already been leveraged. It has already been given to the Alpha system via the Omega system, and we have it all. So if somebody's telling you that there is gold somewhere that has not been leveraged and it's super secret, would be a lie. Remember, everything as far as our rare earth minerals, gold, silver, diamonds, all had a purpose on this planet, especially for non-human beings that ran this planet for a long period of time. And I can tell you they have better sight than you humans or your little banking system. And sometimes things were put into alpha or transferred over to our side for other purposes other than family banking purposes. You know, your Order of the Dragon people or your Black Sun people. I know that's hard for them to believe, that the sun does not rise and set on their rear end, but it doesn't, actually. And there were many things that happened on this planet that didn't involve them, didn't involve the SSP, didn't involve the Order of the Black Sun, didn't involve any military anywhere. I know these people really think that they went around conquering and collecting all these assets, but you really didn't, because a lot of this stuff was assigned 16,000 years ago or 7,000 years ago or 8,000 years ago, even prior to the formation of the secret space program involving humans here on Earth. So, you know, I got to tell you, the ego is a terrible thing, and lies are even worse, because lies have created wars. Lies have killed a lot of people on this planet. Lies are going to tank, you know, their entire world, because you'll never be able to perform on them. And, you know, maybe there's a purpose for everything, really, on their side. Who knows? You know, I guess all in source is time, you know, everything is. But so that's pretty much all that's really taken place over the last 48 hours since we last spoke. I do not anticipate them stopping today, trying to install systems based on, I don't know, some alien help. I have no idea what they were expecting today. But needless to say, whatever it was, it didn't happen. And we'll just keep throwing carrots out there and letting these deep state people chase those, because if they chase those, they at least leave us alone. So that's positive. Anyway, okay, so that is the World Situation Report for Wednesday, June 26th. And I look forward to speaking with all of you again on Friday. So for the rest of you, have a good rest of your week, and we'll see you then.
Want to share news from UNN? Help us change the face of social media and use it for good. Connect with us through our online channels. Our social media team creates clips from each newscast you can easily share with people you care about. That's also where you'll find our UNN Meme of the Day, a great way to encourage critical thinking. Links to all our social media sites are available at the bottom of our website at unitednetwork.earth. Let's change the face of news together.
And that wraps up today's news update. Please share UNN with your friends and family. We need everyone to come together and help restore our planet. When news happens in your area, record and share with us, so together we can share it with the world. Remember, if it's going to be, it's up to me. I'm Sunny Galt. Join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the real news.